Hey, Michelle, was it right? Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is recording.
Michele.
Michelle, was it right?
Michele.
Michele? All right.
French friend, yeah.
Oh, cool. So how are you?
I'm fine, a little bit tired, I must admit, but
Oh, how come you felt tired?
I started working today at my office in New York. So I was an attorney in France. I work in a law firm, and I started. It was my first day today at the office in New York, and so I have a long day. I came here. I have another coaching after because I'm helping another person doing the coaching, and I'm currently in a house with a toddler. She's 16 months, so basically I sleep 6 hours.
Very little sleep. Oh,
Yes.
I see. So you're quite tired from all your new experiences here in New York. And
Yeah.
normally you'd say you work at
I
like in
work-
France, or
Sorry?
normally you work at in France.
No,
or-
I work in Dallas,
In Dallas.
Texas, and so I arrived this morning in the office in New York, and yes, it's just the change of I didn't sleep for 3 days. Didn't sleep as I want for 3 days. I
Right.
slept well, but no, I didn't. No, 6 hours of sleep for me is sleeping
It's
well.
not big.
So yeah, no, it's just yes,
Right.
I'm a little bit tired, and
Yeah.
I need to reorganize myself and be like,
And you're staying with the toddler because it's like at a friend's place, or you're having because you chose not to go into a hotel.
oh yes, I chose not to go to a hotel. I must admit that I was cheap like that. No, I didn't even ask her. At the beginning, I was like wanting to go to a hotel, to somewhere, because I was like, she's with kids and maybe having another person. When
Right.
you leave, sometimes you just want to be yourself, by yourself, like, which I understand. But she was like, oh, come home. And I was like, okay. But indeed, I'm looking for solution to sleep, so I think I'm going to sleep this weekend.
You think you're going to get back on it and go to a hotel instead, just to get some
No,
proper?
so this weekend I plan to go to Boston because I was at Old Boston,
Yeah.
and I was planning to meet with friends, family, no, friends, and lots of people that I met in Boston, and hopefully, providing that I already eliminate the one who was a toddler, I will be able to.
One down.
One down, yeah. No, I'm going to go somewhere where at least I can sleep from Saturday to Sunday, or Friday to Saturday. Yeah,
Right.
like that.
And how long have you been working in Dallas?
So I work in Dallas since November 2018.
Okay. And did you just graduated from Hall last
I
year?
graduated last year from my MBA. Yeah.
Okay, and then you went to Dallas, and now for this course you came to New York for the coaching certificate.
I came to New York for the coaching certificate, and also because I hate Dallas.
Okay.
I hate Dallas. I hate that city.
Yeah.
No, I do not hate. It's too strong of a word. I do not like Dallas. I do not feel comfortable in that city. I do not feel that's the city for me. So when come the time for the coaching certification, I have the choice between two cities, Boston or New York, providing that New York is a city that I know. I loved New York. I really love that city. And for me, there are more opportunities on what will be my next phase in my career in New York than in Boston. And so that's why I choose to come to New York.
And are there also possibilities within your work that you've been transferred from Dallas to New York?
No, they are too mean to transfer me from Dallas to New York.
They're too mean?
Unfortunately. No, already the story how I come to New York is already basically I was supposed to. 3 months ago I told them, okay, I'm going to go to New York for 3 weeks. I want to work in the. Can I work in the? Yeah, you can work from home. Okay, so you will learn that when you're in work, you now need to play corporate.
Right.
So they didn't want me to come here. They didn't want me to work there. So maybe because they do not want them to take me.
Yeah.
And so I needed to find strategy in order to be able. So I found a strategy in order to have my desk in the. But it wasn't no. So no, I can be transferred, but unfortunately, I will not be. I know that.
And how does it make you feel? that you're not being able to get transferred?
Oh, it makes me mad. So currently, I'm really playing mouth and cat with them.
Yeah.
Because no, it makes you mad because you're supposed to work and it's super frustrating. And so yes, it makes me mad, and because it makes me mad, that's one of the reasons I came to New York to change job.
So you're also actively applying for other jobs in New York City?
No, I didn't apply. So it's really to find a strategy. I was in your shoes last year, and I was in your shoes more than 10 years ago. No, it's really more how to connect with people. So to apply is not, for me, it's not, my opinion is not a solution. It was more, okay, how I may meet other people. How will I put some events and be able, by meeting other people while I'm in New York. And that's my strategy for the moment.
But that still implies you would want to go to another firm, even though you would not be willing to
I do
apply
not even want
directly.
to be a lawyer anymore.
You don't want to be a lawyer at all anymore. So which direction do you want to go at?
So that's the thing, is that I'm somebody who's interested in a lot of stuff. So to come back to your first question, why also I'm tired is that I'm taking also another step. So I'm taking, it's besides the coaching certification, I'm doing another things to have another certification. So another thing to have a certification. So I don't remember your question. Can I ask it again? Sorry.
So in what kind of field would you be interested in going?
Yeah, so I would love to. So one of the things that I've discovered is that I do not really like corporate.
Yeah.
Corporate America is really hard, and it's not something that's good for somebody like me. Who has really a big mouth, a strong opinion, and they do not like that.
Yeah.
In my firm, at least, they do not like that, and in Dallas, they definitely do not like that. So yes, it's either to work in an NGO, that always been my thing. I'm really somebody who believes in empowerment and equal justice,
Right.
and that's not something that I'm doing right now. I'm more working for rich people and rich company, and that get on my nerve. So yes, I would really want to either work in an NGO, but being with people that are like-minded. Maybe more around this idea of solidarity, make the world a better place, and yes, and maybe also by myself being able to coach. That's also
Right.
why I'm doing the certification, to coach. So one of the things also on which I'm working right now is my clientele, who will be my target. So yeah.
So what I just learned from how you phrased it, you're basically getting tired of working in Dallas because you don't necessarily like the city you're working in. At the same time, you're getting a bit tired from the company, which is not allowing, which is not giving you the chances that you want to take. And thirdly, it's actually not the industry you want to be in anymore, since the law is not your focus right now. So what would you think is a good step to go next? Because it's hard to change geography, industry, and your role at the same time. What is it what you want to focus on?
So yes, that's kind of an interesting question. Thank you, because last year I did the MBA in order to change.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not to be a lawyer anymore, not to be an immigration lawyer anymore, and I found myself in a law firm in immigration, and so one of the first steps for me will be really to know who I am, because it's really super important. Being at peace with what happened to me now, and like I said to you, working on my target. So really working on what I want to do next. So who is my target? Because not having target, I think when I think about myself, make me come back to that situation, in the fact that, like a lot of you, I was like, okay, in the US, OPT and things like that. I had this opportunity. The opportunity I'm in right now was not what was given to me. They promised me a leadership role, training role, and indeed all this coaching for me, and it didn't happen. So now I'm not going to resign, even though that's what I wanted to do 1 month ago. I'm not going to resign just for the sake of resigning. I need to have a next step. So indeed, it is taking that certification, but at the same time I'm taking that certification. It's good to have the certification, but after having the certification, where is my target?
I see.
Where will I work?
Yeah.
So that's the two questions I'm really working on. What is funny is that yesterday I saw a high school friend that I didn't see for 20 years, and she was in New York for 3 days.
How
so
funny.
yeah, and we just went, what are you doing here? And it was super interesting because at some point I was talking to her about that, and she was like, yeah, but you're talking to me about target, but you need also to have money. There's a kind of reality of this corporate world that you also need to work on, and not just because you want to save the world. And so that's something I'm working on.
I mean, at the same time, you can work for the money and have a great life, but if you don't do what you love, is that going to make you happy while doing so?
No, but I indeed, no. What she wanted to say is that my drawback, one of my default, my flow, is really that I'm somebody who wants to help. And I did a career as an attorney of more than 15 years. I help a lot of people, but the fact is that it doesn't give you money, and I need to be more business minded. So you can love something, but also think about the money and how will you earn money doing that. So it's that thing that she tell me about focus, like how to do what you love, but also to be mindful, and also to be like have reality. You can afford to not be paid when you're Melinda Gates, not when you're me.
Because you mentioned you want to help people, but you want to be self-sustainable. You want to be able to earn enough money to live in a city like New York, for example. So how would you want to help people? Because you've done in the past as an immigration lawyer, if I recall correctly.
I don't know. I was an attorney, so prison, asylum, divorce, you name it. I
exactly. So what is the kind of helping you want to go towards?
So my thing will be more into focusing into empowerment. So one of the things that, for example, I've noticed, especially since I arrived in Dallas, is that in the US currently, being a woman of color, not that good. And I can tell you that it's not just, it's racism is real, especially in the South. So at the beginning, there are a lot of things that we say that no, it's not good. So my focus will be really to, it's easy for some people of color to be like, okay, I'm going to be a victim. But for me, it's more to be like, not be proud of who you are, but know who you are, and do not fall into the, how you call that? Into the stigma and the bias that people will have with you. So doing coaching or things like that, I was thinking also today, because I'm still working on that, even when I'm working, but when I have an idea, I take notes. Maybe have a coaching with people, not just colored people, but maybe people from health, because those are foreigner. And sometimes because you're a foreigner, especially in the current administration in the US, you can feel like what's going to happen to you. So maybe work with that kind of people and that kind of organization in order to let them know that there are tools that they can use to do that. So it's in that I'm.
And what would you enjoy more, having, so as I recall, your own practice in helping others, coaching others, hold alumni who cannot find their way, or working at an NGO who are like-minded and like adding to a substantial cause together with them?
That's a great question, because I would like both. My issue is that I lack focus. I would like both. I want to do a lot of things. I'm passionate by a lot of things, but at the same time, being passionate by a lot of things is being passionate by nothing. So.
And if you would have to give a top 3 of the things you're most passionate about, which would that be?
Empowerment, social justice, travel.
Okay. And just because you mentioned empowerment firstly, I assume that's the one you prioritize highest.
Yes.
And what do you consider as empowerment? Is it woman empowerment? Is it gender empowerment? Is it gender equality? I mean, what kind of empowerment are you referring to?
My empowerment wasn't said by you. It's youth empowerment.
Sorry, it is?
Youth, youth, because I think that when people are young and underprivileged, it's easier for them to fall into trap and not to feel valued by society, and I think those are people that I think they are going to step. Sometimes, unfortunately, they are, and they know that they are going 2 or 3 steps backwards before even the starting block. So that's the people that I want to let them know that you have the right to be also on the starting block. Do not let your reality prevent you from your future or from your destiny.
That's kind of what you mean with the whole youth empowerment,
Exactly.
which is very relatable to the whole students you wanted to help earlier.
Yes.
Right.
So yes, and I sometimes I want also by doing that coaching and doing some of the things that I do to be an example. So I also need to, despite the fact that I'm tired, I also need to succeed to show them that I didn't come from a rich background and things like that. I succeed. Yeah, I succeed. You can do it too.
Right.
So you have tools. Yeah.
And how would you consider other parties that you can help using your coaching skills? So not having, you have the youth empowerment, kind of like help people, but what other ranges you can touch upon as well? What are you thinking of?
So that's a question that my coach asked me. It's not easy, and that's when the focus part in me, and that I'm all over the place, and that's when it's challenging for me. Who I want, because I need to see also who can relate to me.
Yeah.
It's true that if I go to see the gate, I do not say that they will not be interested, but they will be interested for a part of the organization. I want to say that the girls in Yale, having somebody like me will not, they will be like, oh, I cannot help you with business-wise, let's say. So, yeah, it will really be like, instead of youth, it will be, it's something because there are things that I do not feel comfortable. For example, I work a lot in prison, but I was asking myself last time that, oh, will I coach people in prison? Because those are underprivileged, those are usually people of color, those are usually youth and things like that. And I was like, whoa, because that is a target, but why wouldn't I? So it's also, yes, I need also to funnel all those guys, all those things, because maybe I was like, no, I will not feel comfortable. I work in a prison. I worked in a prison. Yeah. Even though it was as a lawyer, yes. So it's also interesting because it makes me, even now that you're asking me the question, it makes me realize that even though I have value, am I ready to put them into practice, into some framework like prison or things like that? No. But if you ask me to do the same, for example, in women who are victims of violence, I will do it. But in prison, and not because I think they are criminal, just because prison is, I just wish that you never go to prison. That's it.
I hope so.
Never. Even just to visit somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've heard a lot and I've learned a lot, and I would like to recommend just to give yourself some more focus on which direction you want to go. So you don't have to narrow it down to any solo practicing, NGO, working together, because you want to combine and you want to do so much. But define the 3 items or the 3 directions you want to go in, and not write down a single word, but maybe draw a like a web where you have like a mind map, which gives you more elaboration on the directions you want to go in. And if you see a lot of like an unemployed youth or troubled youth, for example, you can have a lot of words around it which you can feel connected to. And that might give you more of a sense of direction in the way you want to go at. And I would love to see that mind map in our next session. And I would just like to ask you if you have anything else you want to add to this conversation.
No, that's good. Thank you very much for the 3 items. I'm going to do that.
Cool. Thank you so much for stopping by, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Curious.
Okay. So at first, like I liked all like how was your day, the probing question, like to get into. And then she had a lot of different topics, like she mentioned that she needs to sort out her situation. What situation? Like what do you need to sort out? Why is it happening? So like these why questions. And then, okay, yeah, I'm tired, I'm staying at a friend's place, and I'm looking to reorganize. Looking for a new situation, I need to reorganize. Same topic, why? And you're just like, okay, she needs to reorganize. Like next time, maybe touch on that, and then you could have gotten, because also like, okay, let me first, what I observed more. So then Dallas is uncomfortable. I love New York. So next phase for work. What could that be? And then I have to do compromises in Dallas at work. Yeah, but what do we mean? And then the word strategy fell, and I felt like you wanted him to go onto that strategy thing so badly, because all the like once you said it, I could see. Oh wait, yeah, now I see what she's doing. Like with the I need to rearrange the situation, the reorganizing, and compromises at work. Yeah, but what strategy do you need to do? Like how do you maybe as an image, but reorganize your desk? How do you get to that? And I think if you would have gotten into, okay, but what is the strategy? What is everything that you just mentioned circling around? You would have gotten to that passion point way earlier and could have asked, okay, but what does that passion mean? And from that point onwards, it just went perfectly smooth. Like it took a bit of a way to get to that point, but then you were like, okay, but what does that mean? Help people. What does that for you mean to help people? And then you got to empower people, especially the youth. And you asked, like, you really went down into the topic. And I loved the aspect that you were like, okay, what other people than youth could you empower? So you spread it open, and then you saw on her face, like, oh yeah, actually yes, I'm again too narrow in something down, and I want to go out. And then it kind of got to you again. Oh yeah, but I need to focus something, and then you took away that fear a bit of like, oh, I have to focus, but yeah, just make it open and use this non-focus, like I would say. To get to the overall focus by doing the mind map, the recommendation. So what is your top three priority out of all these different thoughts you have? Where would you go into? The second part was way more coaching than the first part, I guess, because then she said something and you hooked on it and were like, okay, what is it? And then she said another thing and you were like, oh wow, get the next one. And the first part, it more slipped away. Could have gotten there earlier, but since you got there in the end, I don't necessarily feel that it's like a bad thing, a good thing. That was just an observation. And I noticed, like you could see how she talked sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm mad. Like you got really with joke and humor into it. And I think that's a sign how you communicate that it's a very stressful topic for you, and that's very personal and emotional. Because on the other side, it was just like smooth going. Yeah, I have this organized. Like I get that. Whenever she was like, oh yeah, no sleep, but you could see that it stresses her out that there's no sleep. So maybe look for those links, not only what she says, but also how she says it and what she doesn't say, to hook on that maybe for the next time. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of the things that Mel said, but also, I mean, I think this was a very rich conversation, and you, Michele, said so many things, which I realize also that sometimes it's hard when someone mentions so many things to actually remember the first thing you said. Because it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're like, what was the first one? So that's sometimes a bit tricky. Something that I would have liked to, you said you weren't sleeping, so I don't know in the end what's going to happen. Are you going to be sleeping? Or I would have maybe liked what solution or what method can you find to be able to sleep, which is important, because if you don't sleep, then all these things that you want to do, you won't be able. Because I know how horrible it is also not to be sleeping. So maybe, okay, what can you do to solve this problem that is actually it's physically important for you to be able to perform and then do everything that you need to do. It was interesting because you said that you were frustrated and you wanted to change jobs, but yet you find yourself working again at the law firm. So I would have liked to see how come did that happen. So I mean, it's interesting, and you said that you wanted this from before, but you still chose a law firm. So maybe to see how did this happen? How did you end up here, and why? And maybe she could have expanded more on this, and then again link it back to why she wants to change. So understand like which reasons are the ones that she doesn't like this job. Why did she still chose it, and why did she want to change? Then you said something about that you want to coach and you're working on your clientele. What I didn't really know your clientele. You said, right? I didn't really know what that meant. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you understood. I didn't, because since you said you wanted to change industry and then you mentioned NGOs and stuff. I didn't really know what clientele meant. Who are they? I mean, who are you talking to? Who are these people? That's maybe something more interesting to dig a bit more
Just
deeper.
to see if I. So
He understood because after I said targets.
Target, yeah, and then you talked about the funnel.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And
Thank
then
you.
I think what you did that was great is that because she was mentioning so many things, and you asked her, okay, so since you're passionate about so many things, what are the top 3 things that you're most passionate about? And then you helped her like mentally, okay, narrow everything down. So it's empowerment, social justice, and travel. So what sort of empowerment? Because it's a big word. I mean, it could be anything. So that was really good. And then she mentioned about prison and that how she needs to funnel a bit more down. And I think you gave a great advice also, asking her to define the 3 items that she really wants to get into. And then like Mel said that she was like, oh yeah, true, like maybe thinking more about things that will help her connect to more concrete ideas, maybe to improve. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So,
Should I stop here?